Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I am primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, and bass vocalist. I have relaunched my interview series / podcast called Vocal Arts with Peter Barber. And this morning I had the pleasure, bright and early, of speaking with Layne Paley, the Stairwell Siren. We had an absolutely wonderful chat, got way into her career, her life before social media, her whole career on social media, what it's like to have a following of over 12 million people, not a joke, that is actually how many followers she has across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram primarily. Absolutely insane numbers. Got to talk about the pros and cons of that, got to talk about how she got into that, all her thoughts on everything related to that, her background in musical theater, her family life, so many things. It was truly a wonderful, fulfilling, valuable conversation, and I really think you guys are going to enjoy it. So please enjoy, if you will, my conversation this morning with the Stairwell Siren, Layne Paley. So anyway, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Everyone, welcome to the show. Here we have Layne Paley, and I'm gonna hand it over to Layne and let her give kind of a quick elevator pitch as to who she is and what she's up to.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I am Layne. I might be known to you as the Stairwell Siren for my covers in the garage stairwell. It kind of all happened during the pandemic. My husband and I were living in a small 1-bedroom apartment, and he went full-time remote. And that meant that I couldn't sing in the apartment while he was working anymore because he was on the phone constantly. So one day I was just actually taking our dog outside through the garage stairwell and started singing like I naturally do. And I was like, oh my gosh, these acoustics are insane. Like, what if I just started coming in here for fun? And there were a few times where I just recorded myself really quickly in there. And then I was like, I think I'm going to come back in here and maybe just sit and sing just for fun. And then I started recording myself, doing longer bits, filming TikTok videos and posting it. And it just kind of became a thing. And I started posting more, and people were like, you need to post on YouTube. We want full length versions of this. So I was like, okay. So I started doing that and built up my YouTube and my social platforms. And now I'm here. I had a baby. I post a lot of singing, but also lifestyle content, kind of sharing, my family with online. And yeah,
Great, fantastic.
I'm a little, before all of this, I have a BFA degree in musical theater from Boston Conservatory. So I am a theater kid at heart. I've been singing pretty much my entire life. My mom said I was singing before I could really speak, singing along to Barney. And so after school, I decided instead of moving to New York City like everybody else was, I was going to move to Nashville, Tennessee, because I wanted to be a songwriter. So I do have some songwriting, a little songwriting past. I did a major in musical theater, but I did a emphasis in songwriting my junior and senior year. So that's kind of where I wanted to go with my music career. And when I got here, I realized that everybody was a country singer and I wasn't. And when I played out in bars, I felt like I stuck out in a bad way. I was singing pop music and it just wasn't really clicking with people. They were really overlooking it. So I kind of got down on myself and decided to stop. And I actually started a company with my mom, and we made low carb cookies and pancake mix. So it took a completely different turn. I don't really talk about that often, but that was a couple years of my life where music was kind of just the hobby that I did. When I had nothing else to do, I would take out my ukulele and play a little bit, just for fun, just to revisit old memories.
Yeah.
And then the health stuff took the forefront. And
Wow.
then during the pandemic, it kind of made me realize and revisit, like, no, this is what I want to do with my life. This is always what I've wanted to do with my life. And now I get to perform for people online and also be a full-time mom and do all the other cool things, but still focus on music.
Fantastic.
So
All right, there's
that
the
was
whole
all
thing.
over the place.
All
Yeah.
right, so we'll try to. I was writing a few things down that we can go back and pick through. So yeah, I mean, one thing I was really curious about was your background in singing and like whatever training you've had. There are plenty of people who have, gone viral on these social media platforms who have no training whatsoever, and they just kind of have, a gift and they just kind of run with it. You obviously have
Right.
a gift as well, but you've actually done some formal training on it. So when you're
Yes.
when you're working as a musical theater singer, I assume you were predominantly working in that style, working on like the really kind of that speech style singing with like working on the belting, like really extending that full chest range up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then as we hear in the Stairwell Siren type stuff, it's like really high head voice, like up into like the whistle tones sometimes. So how does your musical theater training kind of factor into what you've done on social media?
Fun fact, I actually sang alto throughout college.
Well, you have a lower speaking voice, so
Yeah,
it's cool that you have access to the really high stuff as well.
it's funny because I didn't really think I could sing very high. Like my entire life, I was like, no, I'm an alto through and through, like chest
Yeah,
voice, like belty stuff. Not even, I mean, in college, I was working on a high belt. That was like the goal to get like some really, really good, like screlty belt,
oh, it's the best.
especially for like the musical theater, like powerhouse songs. I really
Yeah, it's
wanted
just like
to focus on that. I didn't want to sing legit style. I didn't really enjoy it. Um, but honestly, like when I started playing around in the stairwell, the high stuff, I would just like sing and just I didn't even know these notes could really come out of me. But I was like, why not? Like I'm alone in this like stairwell with crazy acoustics. Let's try to get up there. Let's try to sing some stuff that like I normally wouldn't. And let's try to do some eerie, like siren-esque sounding things. So I would just try that stuff. And I was like, wait, like I can hit these notes. I didn't think I could, but then that's what I started singing in there. And I feel like I honestly trained myself in there to hit these higher notes. I would use my like musical theater techniques to get up into that register, and my legit training that I don't want to say forced to do in theater school, but all of those tools that I had to hit those belts, those really high belts, I used to get into that really high part of my register. So all of that training definitely came in handy. And to be honest, I haven't taken a voice lesson in a long time, which I need to, because I firmly believe like the voice is a muscle and you just have to like keep working it. You should never stop taking voice lessons, which
100%.
so I need to call my old voice teacher. She'd be like, "Who is this?" But you can never practice too much. But yeah, so those notes, and I'm sure people that I went to school with are like watching my videos, like, "Who? What?" Like that's not how she sang in school. So I'm
Yeah,
confused. But yeah, it was just kind of practicing and getting out of my comfort zone,
yeah.
and just keeping working that muscle.
Well, it sounds natural. Like it doesn't sound like you're really forcing your way up there. Like obviously there's effort because
Thank
you're
you.
singing a super high range, but the notes are there. Like
Hmm.
you're not faking it. And I remember there were some lines in the collaboration you did with the Bass Gang where you had to be speaking, like it had to be clear enough up there. The diction had to be clear enough, which is
Hmm.
really rare because it can go into like the voice science of why it's hard to actually sing text way up in your range, either high chest or really high. in your head voice. And there were lines where you had to be like really clear. I can't remember the lines off the top
I
of my
was gonna
head, but
sing
you
them,
were,
but I was like, no, it's 8 a.m. Like, don't do that to everybody.
and I'm not gonna ask you to. But yeah, like really, really high. And you have enough comfort up there and enough access to those notes where you can even have clear diction while you're way up there. So an
Thank
interesting
you.
stat, you're welcome. You're welcome. An interesting stat for you. I found this fascinating. So when I did my master's at USC, I was a TA and I taught like a basic voice science class, and I taught undergrads voice lessons, like whatever style they wanted to learn. I would generally try to get them towards classical because just it's like a really good foundation for like breath support and vocal strength and all that.
Absolutely.
But if you poll a class, if you poll like a large group of like undergrad, like young ladies, and they say, what voice type do you think there are? 70% plus will say they're mezzos, like the lower version of the operatic female voice type. Once they actually start training, 90% of them turn out to be sopranos. Because you feel because everyone speaks in their natural chest voice.
Yep.
And at least in operatic singing or this high head voice you're doing, that's like an unnatural register to be operating in. And so you don't know what you can do there until you start training that. I remember similar to your voice type, had you gone down the operatic route, my friend Gracie Gardner, who was at USC when I was there, really low speaking voice. You would think she was like a contralto in opera. And she was a high, like lyric coloratura. So like really high, really fast moving stuff was like her specialty. And you would never have guessed that hearing her speaking voice, because it's just so different how
that makes so much sense though. Like because I thought alto for my entire life. Honestly, it's really hard when people ask me what my voice type is, because I don't really like to put my voice in a box like that. Like for a while I did, and then I was like, no, but I can sing these other parts.
I don't think this is a hill I will absolutely die on. I'm in this huge Discord server with a bunch of like young bass singers they'll be 17 years old and calling themselves like really specific operatic voice types. And I'm like, you really only need to worry about specific voice types, I think, in opera. Because if you're operating outside your lane there, you can really run into vocal trouble.
Oh yeah.
It's like we're yell singing for 3 hours, no microphones over an orchestra.
Whole different ball game. Oh my gosh.
If you're trying to sing the wrong repertoire, you can really get yourself in a mess. And it's really not, even like young opera singers don't even really need to be like, I'm a lyric this or I'm a dramatic that. Like you have to like have your technique fully settled, probably for like a decade or so of training. So I'm right there with you. I think like if you can comfortably sing a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different ranges, like there's no need to call yourself, oh, I'm a soprano and that's it.
For sure.
I'm just a singer. I'm a versatile singer. I can do utility stuff. I can do solo stuff. Like it's whatever.
I think that was the main issue I had during college, because my teachers would tell us, like, you have to go in, like, you have to put yourself, they really wanted you to put yourself in a box. Like, who are you? Are you the ingenue? Are you going to go for those roles? Yeah. Are you the, funny, like, best friend type of role where you're singing the chesty, belty stuff?
Yeah.
And I just hated that. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to, I don't know what I am. And I did put myself in the box during school. And I think that's why I wasn't necessarily successful out of college, because I just thought in one genre and one vocal type and didn't think out of that. Like I didn't think that I could do anything else. So
musical theater is also really tricky for that reason in undergrad, because for musical theater, I mean, it is like do your undergrad and move to New York.
Yep.
So like you get there and you've got 4 years to figure out, how do I get hired in like major theaters as a 22-year-old? No one's thinking like that in the opera world. So like academia also, they do it. Everyone loves to pigeonhole in academia. You got to see that firsthand in the musical theater department. They do the same thing in opera, but fortunately in the opera world, there's an understanding that it takes a long time to be ready for the major stages, just like develop the power and vocal maturity to sing in the major houses. So there's a bit less pressure in your
Pressure,
undergrad.
yeah.
It's usually just like, let's build your voice. Let's see what's comfortable, as opposed to like, you're going to be singing this role in Wicked and nothing
Yeah,
else, you know,
yeah.
for 20 years.
It's crazy because they'll be like, "Oh, you're," a term they use is green. Like when you're
Yeah.
performing for like the casting directors in college, they're like, "Oh, well, you're a little green for this role. You know, you're young." But then the switch is so fast. It's like, okay, you're really green, but like then a couple years passes, they're like, "Oh, you're too old."
Yeah,
You're
it's
like, "You're
just
done. You're
flash
too
in the
old for this role."
pan.
Yeah, it's like, where is that sweet spot? I don't know, but I remember my teachers being like, "If you're not planning on moving to New York, why are you here? Like, if you're
Yeah,
not, then just be done, drop out."
right. Yeah.
I'm like, because I want musical theater, like having that training is so valuable for any other type of performing as well. Like, I
Yeah.
don't just have to go to New York and try to be on Broadway, although that is the goal for most people. I've found success doing this,
Hmm.
and just all of the knowledge that I had from that 4 years has helped me so much. So I don't think that you have to go to New York, but that's just me. So
And
if anybody,
no,
I mean, young musical theater kids are listening, but New York is an amazing place and Broadway is an amazing goal. So
right. And like, yeah, if young and ambitious, go for it.
yes,
Give it your shot if that's what you want to
of
do.
course.
I've had a number of, so the musical theater department at my undergrad was actually really, really strong. So there were a number of guys who I was in an a cappella group with and who were in, you know, saw the productions of that did make it to Broadway,
Wow.
like pretty soon after undergrad. But there were some other ones that were like, they're doing it, they're finding some success, but then they hit like late 20s, like my age now, I'm 29, and they're like deciding like, okay, I've given it the shot. Now I think it's time to kind of pivot into something else. Like
Hmm.
find a way to keep using these skills, go into teaching, be a professor, or go into something completely different if you want to, you know,
Yeah,
just like find a new path completely in life.
for
But it's a
sure.
real thing. The shelf life is kind of crazy for musical theater.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. I do know I just turned 30. I say I just turned 30. I turned 30 in January. But I have I have
30 and a
friends
half.
that, yeah, exactly. Like, uh-oh, it's going by too fast. I have friends that are just now booking Broadway from when we graduated. So also, I mean, there is a shelf life, I think, for some roles, but I feel
Yeah.
like it's also never too late. There's also those, those roles that we couldn't play when we were in college, that like
Yeah.
the dream roles, a little bit older characters. Um, I really don't think it's ever too late, and you can continue to audition if that's what you want to do. But maybe that's just me saying it because I'm 30 and I
No,
maybe I want that now.
no, I think it's true. I'll
Yeah.
be 30 in August. So I'm falling up shortly after. But yeah, no, and I think in musical theater too, they it seems like they cast closer to how like film acting is. At
Hmm.
least in, like
Yeah.
if they want a really young kid, you can find young singers that can perform on a big stage in musical theater, especially because there's amplification
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff like that. So you can find a teenager or an undergrad singer that can do that. For opera, the ages are completely whacked. Like, I don't, if you've heard of the opera Carmen, I'm sure you've heard
Yes.
of tunes from
Yes.
it. She's supposed to be like a 14
Yeah.
to 16-year-old girl that's just like super seductive and like works in a cigarette factory and all this. And it's usually played by like a 42-year-old
Yeah.
because
Right.
like
Right.
because it's a like a dramatic vocal role,
Of
and
course.
you will never find a 14-year-old opera singer that could handle that on a big stage.
No, that's what I do love about the stage, though. It is way more forgiving in that sense. So, like a 30-year-old could play an 18-year-old, and
Totally.
us as the audience would forgive it because it's the stage,
Exactly.
we're just there for the ride. But on film, I do think like, okay, this 30-year-old is playing 18-year-old. Like when Ben Platt played Evan Hansen in the
Yeah.
film, even though he is Evan Hansen,
Yeah,
but everyone was
yeah,
like, he looks old. Like,
yeah.
let's just forgive it this time because it's still musical theater,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we love Ben Platt. But
we do.
yeah, that's it. I love the stage.
You do see that. I mean, like Disney Channel Like everyone in high school on the Disney Channel is like 25
Oh yeah.
at
That's always
least, you
so
know.
funny to me. Yeah. And movies where like these teenagers are actually like developed, like
Yeah.
30-year-old
Like
women. I'm
you
like,
think
okay.
like John Travolta playing
Oh,
Danny in
Grease.
Grease.
Grease is the funniest thing because growing up, I thought that's what a teenager looked like.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's like,
no, Rizzo was not a teen.
no, 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 not even close.
That
I,
is, Grease is so funny to me.
I just
Also
watched
a
it.
great musical.
Yeah, I just rewatched it a few months ago. It's brilliant. But I did notice
Hmm.
that I was just like, wait a second, like Danny still probably looks older than I do now,
Yeah.
and I got out of high school 11 years ago.
uh, too funny.
So what was your social media like before you started posting? Was it there at all?
So I've always kind of, since Instagram started, I always
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of posted on social media just for fun, like pictures of food and like silly things. And when stories came out, I loved stories. Like I've always loved to share on the internet. But back then it was just sharing with, people who followed me, like my friends.
yeah.
And just pictures of myself and friends and traveling and stuff like that. And I would even I've been posting little covers on Instagram since like the video feature started. So there used to be like a feature similar to like Vine or TikTok where you could film in little segments. And it was only like, I forget how long Instagram allowed videos for, but I would do mini covers or just play like a couple lines in that and like post it. And like no one was saying it, but it was still a part of my life. Like music was such a huge part of me that I would just share that stuff. And I shared even when I was not doing music, I would share like little things here and there, but it wasn't really there wasn't a goal behind it to like reach anybody. It was just kind of like part of me. And anyone that knew me, grew up with me, they knew I was a singer and musician. They're like, oh, Lauren, she's always going to be singing and posting about
Mhm.
it. But it didn't really get serious until I downloaded TikTok in 2019, actually pre pandemic.
Okay.
And I remember back then it was like kind of a frowned upon app. Like not everyone had it yet. People thought it was like funny and kind of stupid. They're like, oh, TikToker, like that's for little kids.
Yeah.
So I remember just downloading it and like posting a couple silly videos. And I remember the first video I ever went viral for. And back then, viral was like I think I did hit 1 million views on that video, and that was mind blowing to
Well,
me.
that's
I was
wild.
like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I am famous. And it was the silliest video of me singing a Lizzo song in a Disney princess voice. And if I watch it right now, I like cringe so hard. It is so painful. But when I got a lot of views on that, I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe I should start posting more on TikTok, and I shared it on Instagram and people were like, ha ha ha, oh my goodness. Like
Yeah. Different
TikTok.
vibe.
Oh yeah.
Different
People were
vibe.
like, you have a TikTok? Okay. Like that's kind of embarrassing. And I just didn't care, honestly. I kept posting, I kept building up my following. And that's why I think I kind of had a leg up over, most people that downloaded the app later. So I already established a following before it got popular. So I was ahead of the game in that sense, which I feel like I'm never ahead of the game. So I was pretty proud of myself there. And then now people that made fun of me when I downloaded TikTok, now they ask me for advice on how to grow on TikTok.
Hmm.
So I just think that's
It's gotta feel
hilarious.
good.
Yeah, it does. I'm like it's a fun now I feel like it's more fun than all the other platforms. It's
Yeah.
hilarious. And while a lot of my friends still don't have a TikTok, they'll send me like all the videos from TikTok on Instagram. And I'm like, dude, I saw that like 3 months ago on TikTok. Like you are being such a millennial right now.
So you keep up, you spend time on TikTok beyond be on the posting? Like you kind of know
I'll
what's
mindlessly
cool.
scroll. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm aware of like some trends. I like trending sounds. I don't really participate in trends, to be honest, just because it's not like occasionally, maybe here and there, I'll do like a little video to a sound. It's just something funny. But I mainly post, my singing content on there.
Yeah.
And now that like Little Mermaid, for example, is going like viral because of the new movie, like taking those kind of things and them into what I post, like
Yeah.
singing those songs or doing a little like scaring my neighbors segment because that's something that's become popular is I'll go in the stairwell and sing scary songs until somebody walks in and scare them. That's become super, super fun to do. But yeah, just kind of taking the trends and making them a little bit more my niche.
That's awesome. So that's mainly how you decide which content to do is like you maybe find something that's popular, but you do it in a way that's not just like slavishly following the trend.
Yes,
Like I'm just going to post a bunch
absolutely.
of crap because this thing is popular. It's like this thing is popular, but I'm going to take it and do it in my
For
own
sure. I
way.
don't, I get kind of annoyed when I see people doing the same video like a million times just because they saw it go viral and they're like, oh, I'm going to do that same video. I'm like, then what do you gain from that? Like, you
Mm-hmm.
might get a lot of views, but like, you can't feel proud about something that it has no originality to it, really. So, yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from trends, but also comments, honestly, like, and like my fan base, my followers suggesting things. I've learned so much music just from requests. Like when the
Yeah.
comment feature that where you could reply to comments on TikTok that came out like probably years ago, but that was how I built up my following. I was basically just taking song requests throughout the pandemic. Like I was just performing for people based on what they wanted to hear, learning music. I sing a lot of stuff that I would have never learned if it weren't
Yeah.
for TikTok. Like video game soundtracks, movie soundtracks. Like I'm not a gamer. My husband is, but I'm definitely not. But now I can appreciate all the amazing music
Oh,
that
yeah.
the soundtracks are
Oh my gosh.
phenomenal. And that's where I found a lot of success is just singing soundtracks to video games. They're
Yeah.
so epic. I'm like now I want to sing on a video game. That's like
Yeah.
one of my goals.
I also am not a gamer, but love gaming music. Like some of the best music is gaming music.
Absolutely.
Surely you know, or have maybe you've been on a song with him before. Colm McGuinness.
Yes, I have. I love
So
him.
he's great, and he does that kind of stuff.
hmm
He is composes for video games.
Oh, does
Um,
he? How
and
did I
there are
not know this?
he like his main thing is a composer, which very few people know about him because he kind of blew up because of singing and doing like the bass
Yeah,
sea shanty stuff. But
yeah.
like he is a genius
What the
composer.
heck? I
Yeah,
can't believe I didn't know this. I did a little collab with him and Bobby for on Odeth for
right.
around
That's right.
Halloween time.
Yeah,
And I feel like him and I have done, we were on
certainly sea
Hoist the
shanty
Colors.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, like, and we've duetted each other on TikTok. Like, we're social media friends. Like, I feel like
yeah,
I know him, but I
yeah.
don't.
He's a great guy. I finally got to because we kind of met at the start of the pandemic when all the
Yeah,
like I was starting to do stuff on TikTok, but I could never get into it. I just couldn't follow a trend, couldn't make myself post. I was just like the opera thing and the
it's hard.
YouTube, like those are my two. Love it,
Yeah,
you know. But
but
I
you're
finally
good
got
at that.
oh, thank you. But I finally got to meet Colm when I went out to LA for a voice competition, and we like went
hmm
out to like a whiskey bar and just like
I
shot the shit
love
for three
that.
hours, and it was really fun to like get to meet the guy. And
Yeah,
he's got like madman energy, and he's so
he's
positive.
funny.
He's
He sent
really
me some
really
voice
funny.
notes. He sent me voice memos,
Yeah.
and I would just, his accent is just so thick, and he's just so funny. Like, I would listen to them and be like, this guy is hilarious, and like re listen to them and just laugh.
He is.
Just hilarious.
Yeah, he's absolutely hilarious. So while we're on social media, what are like the biggest pros and cons for you having a big social media following?
Um, Pros. there's there's so many pros.
Yeah.
Being
Let's
able
do like
to,
top few.
yeah, I'd say make a living doing what I love is the number one.
Yeah.
Like my schedule is flexible. I post on social media and have now built up my social media enough to be able to work with brands, get brand partnerships, and make a living that way, which is the absolute dream. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's nice to speak this out loud because I have to remind myself during the hard days, like I still, even though I haven't slept in 11 months, I still am living the dream. Another pro is connection with people that I would have never connected before, just getting positive feedback, talking to followers that have been inspired by me. Just what they have to say is just so amazing. Um, just being able to make somebody's day better is just a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. There's a lot of
Absolutely.
pros. There's also a lot of cons. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think of more pros. Um, Social media is just really cool. Like I would say social media friends with a lot of people that I would have never met like before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Even people that I consider to be on the more like well-known side, like famous. Like for
Hmm.
example, Christy Carlton Romano, who was like Kim Possible. Like her and I are social media friends now because of TikTok. And like Paris Hilton follows me. Like things that are just so
That's
crazy.
that is
Yeah,
crazy.
just so wild. And the collaborations, like for example, with you guys and the bass
Hmm.
gang and VoicePlay for me. And I'm talking to a few other amazing YouTube artists about doing collaborations as well. So just being able to connect with other artists as well as followers is really cool. I've also made a lot of really good friends with my followers too, like really close. We send each other stuff, like just have been following since, I got pregnant and just
Hmm.
I feel like they know my baby, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
good people that really genuinely care about me and want the best for me is really awesome. Like I feel like I have a lot of friends
That's
because of it.
yeah. That's great.
Um so those are the pros to it. And did you ask me for cons? Like
I
I don't know
did.
if
I
we're in that.
did.
Okay.
No, let's go there.
Cons. Um, one comment can literally just ruin your entire day. And as much as you want it not to, like people are like, oh, don't let that like affect you. It's just one person. The other day, I let it affect me for some reason.
Hmm.
You can get some really mean comments
Yeah.
that just completely make you start overthinking your entire life.
It's
People are
terrible
really mean.
that the random person can have that power.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna jump in just for a second. I
Yeah.
find it just depends on my mental state when I get the comment.
Yes.
Like most of the time
100%.
nowadays, I really am feeling great. I'm excited about a lot of things. I feel bulletproof if these shitty comments come in. That's most of the time. But once in a while,
Hmm.
one will slip through, or it'll be a certain kind of comment that bothers me. It might even be like a super mean comment. It just might have some angle to it that
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's what you take away from this video,
Right,
and
right.
it'll get
It's
in there.
almost worse. I'm like, I'd rather you just roast me than
Yeah,
just like that
exactly.
one thing. Yeah.
Because some of those are hilarious. Like some of the roast
Yeah.
comments are honestly hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I like will
Anyway,
read them out loud and just laugh sometimes. I'm
yeah,
like, this is so ridiculous that it's funny. Like, I'm not
yeah.
even
Like
offended. Like,
I'm
it's
like,
just hilarious.
what is going on in your life to make you want to comment that
Yeah.
on this? Like, wow, okay, pump the
I have no
brakes.
idea. I've honestly had to be really careful about reading my comments, especially during like my postpartum period, because there's so many like
Oh my god.
hormonal highs and lows. a lot of lows, especially when you're not getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
So I have tried to stay out of my comments as much as possible, but here and there I'll open the app and like the comment, it'll just like appear and I'll read it and I'll get really, really upset and angry and just how can people be so mean?
Yeah.
And that doesn't make you, that makes you want to stop creating content in that moment. It just takes away all inspiration that you might have.
Yeah.
And then there's people that, you know, they assume things about you, they perceive you in a light that you don't want to be perceived in.
Yep.
There's you just can't win on social media. You can't do anything right. You know, there's always going to be something that people find wrong because they're looking for it. You know, sometimes as many people that want you to succeed, there's also a lot of people that want you to fail too, just because they're unhappy with their
Exactly.
life.
That's generally how I try to frame it. Is like, if I'm getting mean comments, this is actually not even about me.
No.
This is about someone trying to get some kind of significance or power, or cutting someone else down to lift them up. Like, if I can comment this mean thing on this person who has this huge following, that gives me some kind of significance in the situation.
For sure. And cancel culture, I hate.
Oh my God.
It's just, brutal. I just watched so much cancel culture. I feel like throughout the pandemic too, that was just, since we were all online, we were all like getting people really famous really fast. And then people had to find a way to just like bring them down. So I was just watching, like kind of like biting my fingernails.
Who's
like,
next? Who's next? I know. It was the witch hunt. It was the witch hunt.
Really, really scary. I hate that, how people can just like switch up like that. And like having like a family. And for now, I am not hiding my baby from, like, she's still like in my videos, but that can change too. Like just some comments I get sometimes make me want to just shelter her and just never show her to the world. Like, and I'll get comments like, if I'm just filming a video singing to her, I'll get like child exploitation comments, all this stuff. Like, people would be like, how you're disgusting, like you're exploiting your child, and like calling me names and commenting on how I'm dressing, and it's like, it's ridiculous things. And commenting on how I am as a mother. I'm like, you don't know me. And that kind of stuff makes me second like guess like if I should even put her in my videos anymore. But like said, these people are just unhappy and like looking for reasons to decide they want to hate me, because most of my content right now, it's pretty PG.
It's wholesome.
There's really nothing crazy. There's nothing crazy going on. A lot of the times I'll share wholesome moments that I experience with my family, whether it's like surprising. Like, I surprised my dad with my baby. He hadn't met her yet.
I saw that one.
Showed up.
That was really sweet.
And I actually had to turn off. I decided to turn off comments on YouTube, I think it was, because I was getting the nastiest comments about just like how I was holding her. People were like going crazy because they said I wasn't like supporting her head. And I'm like, at that point, she could actually hold her head up. And I was still supporting her with the back of my arm, like supporting her head. But I was getting attacked, like brutally attacked. So I was like, okay, like I can't deal with this. And on Facebook, I get attacked pretty often, but I leave those. I just leave it. I'm like, you guys can just talk about me in the comments. I will just scroll away.
Well, I mean, you kind of have to. I mean, I don't scroll on my social media hardly at all.
That's honestly great. Like, if you're not, you don't really have to. You can post, and then sometimes you can just leave. And it's fine.
it's the Joe Rogan approach, even though his following is astronomical, much more understandable for him. But yeah, just basically post only. Instagram I use because like a lot of my best friends are on Instagram, and I like seeing what they're up to and sending messages back and forth. But yeah, I mean, listen, you are a beautiful woman. You've got a baby, like it seems like a very happy family life, and you've got all this success on social media, and you are like the ultimate target for these trolls in the comment section to go after. So
just like, what am I doing wrong?
yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, like these people just suck.
Okay, so
People suck.
that's con
Yeah.
number one.
Oh, that was only one con?
I
Oh
guess
my gosh.
that was probably all, just basically all of it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
another
the main
con
thing.
I feel like is it's easy to get sucked into constantly feeling like you need to stay relevant and posting,
Mm,
and it can drive you insane.
yeah.
Like it's hard to step away and, for instance, like go on a vacation because there's fear that when you come back, you're going to be irrelevant. It's like you need, and I know a lot of fellow content creator friends feel the same way. Like they can't take a break. It's like you
Yeah.
constantly feel like you need to keep pumping out content and keep posting. Because when you work for yourself in that sense, like it's not like you can clock out or like get paid vacation time. It's like
Yeah.
you have to keep posting. Otherwise, you can lose followers or you stop, making making money, which is a lot of people's fear. Like you're not posting content, so brands lose interest, or you stop, making money on YouTube, you stop getting as many views and stuff like that. So that's another con. It's like you can turn into a workaholic a lot easier, but also there's a popularity aspect in that. So it's like
Hmm.
it can drive people absolutely crazy.
Do you feel there's different pressure on the different platforms as far as like how much you have to keep posting?
Yes.
It feels like TikTok's like a move fast and break things kind of platform.
TikTok is known for if you stop posting, your videos will kind of like tank.
Yeah.
Like if you don't keep posting, the algorithm will like slow down for you. Like that's the word out on the street. I kind of beg to differ in that sense. Like I've taken a significant break from TikTok before and then come back. And yeah, while things might move slower at first, if you jump back into it and like start posting regularly again, the people that follow you and supported you will always be there and they'll come
Yeah.
back and then new people will find you again. But it's just hard and there is a lot of pressure to continue posting. And
Do,
then
do,
sorry, go
do you do you
ahead.
do you feel do you feel like this is a question I know I have felt, and I'm not even that deep in the kind of fast paced social media. Like I said, YouTube's like the opera career. It's just like super long. It just like
Hmm.
just keep grinding away, just keep
Yeah.
grinding away. But like, there's not as much of a time pressure. Do you find, because this is something I don't like, is if I'm on social media more, I will find myself out in life doing things, and I'll be doing something, and I'll be thinking about how to post about it, and like,
Yes.
and it will be taking up real estate in my brain as far as like, or I'll have something coming up in the future, and I'm like, oh, I can make this. I'm like, shut up, like
Yes.
just be
Just
there,
live
and
in
then
the moment.
if you want to post about it later, then you post about it later. But do you ever get caught up in those kinds of
Of
thoughts?
course. Being present is really hard. You actually have to make yourself be present when you're a person that, is a social media personality. It's like you see all these wholesome moments being filmed on TikTok, but those moments you're viewing because they were filmed. It's like those people, while we were present in the moment, there was still that,
Yeah,
voice in the back of our head that said, take out your phone and film
yeah,
this because you want to share this. Like you
yeah.
want people to see this. And that it, it's it does kind of suck, honestly. Like I wish that I didn't feel like it's sad because like I want to share all of these things, but part of me wishes that I could just, have a cameraman in my life that just like sat there and just filmed the happy moments so
Yeah,
I wouldn't have to think about it. So
yeah,
that I could just live in them and not have to plan out how I was going to get that angle or how I'm going to edit that. It's like
yep.
it's sad in that way. And I do get jealous kind of my husband sometimes because he absolutely lives in the moment
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
Not once has he ever thought like, how could I film this? How can I like make this? He just lives in cute moments. Like his life is just cute moments with our baby that I'll like see
Yeah.
and I'll be like, this is so cute, and I'll live in it, but then I'll like film a little bit of it because I don't want
Yeah.
to miss it. And I'm like, I kind of wish I had that for myself. Like I wish I had a me that could film me because he just gets me getting all the good stuff of him, which is great. And I do like having a partner that's not really in the social
Yeah.
media,
I
like
think that's
because
great.
I think that would drive me insane.
Yeah.
Because I know people that are, I am not super, yes, I post, yes, I stay active, but I am not obsessive when it comes to getting content filmed and posting. Like I will gladly just go about the weekend and about not think about it. Like
Yeah.
I'll go out and enjoy my day and maybe snap a few pictures here and there just for memories. But I know people that it's 24/7. Like they are working to get content pumped out. So they get burnt
Hmm.
out really easily. They stop enjoying their life too.
Yeah.
You really have to find the healthy balance. And that's another con. It's like there's so much opportunity that can present itself on social media, but at the same time, you have to enjoy your life and stay like healthy mentally,
Yeah.
you know? So
Completely agreed. I mean, I have like a notoriously low screen time on my phone because I just don't like
that's great.
dealing with it. And there was a
Mhm.
period of like 6 months during the pandemic when it was less than an hour a day.
Wow.
Just like
That's like
not,
probably a record.
just like not on it. And I think now it's probably like 2 hours or so. But I
Yeah.
like, because with the YouTube thing, it's much more laptop based. If
Yep.
I interact on Patreon, it's laptop based. If I'm on Discord, I'd rather be on my laptop. If I'm answering emails, I'd rather be on my laptop. Just like
Yep.
everything, I feel much more comfortable. I don't feel like a little gremlin if I'm like
Yeah.
on my laptop, you
Yeah.
know,
It's
which I think
true.
is helpful. Like I find if I'm on my phone more, I feel my mental health deteriorating, even if I'm
Yeah,
doing
there
this.
is literally an addiction there. Like I'll be on my phone and I'll find myself like my mind is saying, "Hey, you should stop scrolling. Like this is crazy." But then I'll keep scrolling and be like, just a few more videos. Like it's
The best one's
addiction.
coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. But so that's definitely a con.
Okay.
And I know there's so many more cons
There's
and
yeah.
pros.
Yeah.
There's a
More on
million
both
things.
sides. All right.
Yeah.
Let's. So what is your favorite project you've done so far? It could be a series of projects or something you've done that you're like, you look back and you're super proud about it. And you're like, yes, like that was a wonderful thing that came together.
There's so much. Definitely I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you, but definitely the hide and seek cover that we
Oh,
did
fantastic.
was super, super fun. I love the arrangement
It's
that
crazy.
Marwan did.
Oh
It
my God.
was so
Genius.
good. I also just think that whole thing is hilarious, like hide and seek. Like what? I only heard that song because somebody requested it in my comments. So I listened to it and I was like, this is weird.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this
straight up.
sounds a little crazy. But I was like, okay, maybe I'll sing that in the stairwell. Let's just try it. It sounds kind of spooky. And I found that it was like such a great like acapella stairwell thing. And I think a lot of my younger fans thought it was hilarious to scare people with that. And then that led to, that collaboration. And then the voice play collaboration was really cool. I actually, Layne flew to Nashville to film me because I was so early postpartum to do that. And he wanted me to come to Florida, but I was like, I am breastfeeding. Like I can't leave right now. So that was really, really nice of him to come to
Yeah,
me and
yeah,
make
yeah.
that happen. And I just loved how both of those turned out. And I feel like people might have been like, oh my God, she did two covers with two different a cappella groups of the same song. But they were so drastically different
Yeah.
in just every way that I was like, I'm proud of both of them. Like, I think they're both really epic and cool.
Yeah.
So those were awesome. I also got to sing on a little animated segment of a Italian film that
Oh,
is actually, it's called Tell It Like a Woman. It actually is Oscar nominated for one of the songs in there, but I got to put my vocals over that for the animated segment. And the composer actually wrote the score with my voice in mind, taking inspiration from me singing in the stairwell because the producer like loved my stairwell singing so much. And he's actually a friend of mine. He's an Italian producer. And I just watching that, I actually just saw it for the first time a few months ago. Like I just watched it. And it was just really surreal just watching this animated short with my voice over it. Just something that has always been a goal
yeah.
of mine. Just seeing that come to fruition was really amazing. And I know there's going to be so many more really proud moments to come. And a really proud moment for me was hitting 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That was really surreal, especially because when I started posting, I was told by a lot of people that it was going to be really hard for me to find success on YouTube because it was already established. People already had like their followings. People weren't, they're like, oh, it's really hard to grow. Like, you probably won't. And that's okay. But like, you probably won't do well. And I'm like, okay. And I just kept posting, but I really didn't think too much into it. And just like that, hitting the 1 million mark, which I would have never thought I would hit 1 million subscribers ever. And then getting my reward, the plaque in the
Yeah.
mail and just holding it, I was like, this is really cool.
That's so cool.
It was really amazing.
Yeah, a million subs on YouTube that's no joke. That's a major accomplishment.
I was like, I gotta pat myself on the back for this because I just don't think I fully like I don't think I still fully comprehend like my social media platforms and like my growth, but I have a hard time like saying good job to myself. I don't know why. I'm always like, oh, there's more I could be doing. Like that's just my personality. Like I don't really celebrate myself often in that sense. But sometimes, like said, talking about it, it makes me like sit back and be like, okay, like no, you've done well.
Yeah. No, I mean, we humans have the ability to adapt super fast, especially to things like numbers.
Yes.
When they get above a certain point, it's like, what's the difference between 1 million and 2 million?
Yes.
1 million is like such an enormous, like 1 million people. Like that's crazy. But if you look at, someone who has an account with 7 million versus 8 million, it doesn't seem like anything. It's 1 million people.
Hitting 1 million on TikTok, I was like, oh my gosh. Like that was like mind blowing to me. That happened during the pandemic. And then as grateful as I am to have grown to where I am on TikTok, it's still like said, you adapt to it. So you're like, okay, like 9 million, okay, like amazing, but
almost 10 times as many.
Yeah, but it's just like, oh, cool. But saying it, it's like, no, that is really, really, that's awesome. No matter what size your following is, the fact that people choose to follow you because they love what you do is really awesome. And it's worth celebrating.
Is your YouTube mainly shorts based as well? Is that why people didn't think you would grow?
It's funny because it started off, I would just post, they weren't like really long videos, but I was basically posting like longer versions of TikToks on YouTube. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't. I just like that. That's kind of why I feel like I've been the way I am because I'm just getting by. Like I just post and it's just found success, but I feel like I'm just like getting by, still not knowing what I'm doing. But so that's how it started on YouTube. And then I started posting more full length, actually horizontal formatted videos on
there
YouTube.
We go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Still just on my phone. I still haven't graduated from that. Like nothing is edited with me. I literally post a video live and that's just my life. And I mean, obviously when I like do collaborations and stuff, I like record stuff, but everything that I've filmed myself is just recorded live, no editing in post. Because I'm just like that. I'm like, let's just get it out there. Like, I don't care, like raw, real.
Yeah. Well,
Clearly it's on my phone. So
I mean,
like it's already like looking a certain way.
the return on your investment there is huge. If it's like you just shoot it and it's done.
Right.
I mean, that was when I did like a few months of TikToking and had a few kind of popular videos doing stairwell stuff, like bass singer stairwell stuff. It was literally shoot it on my iPhone, like just chop the beginning and end when I'm walking up to the camera and then post it.
Right. And it's like people, I think, can appreciate that to a certain extent. Like, I still feel like, okay, now I need to kind of graduate and take things a little bit more seriously in the sense of investment in better equipment, recording, better microphone. I have a better camera. I still haven't figured out how to use it. So we'll get there. But yeah.
Like Bobby does very polished TikToks. Like
yes, Bobby is very polished. And people ask me to collaborate, often. And they're very polished. And I sometimes get embarrassed to even like talk about a collaboration because I'm like, you don't realize that I really don't edit anything. Like I record live and nothing is super polished with me.
I personally think you should do that as long as you possibly can.
As long as I can, right?
Yeah, because as soon as you make the step up, you're going to feel like you have to do it for every video. Yeah, you're going to do it for every video. Right. And there is something kind of like, it's kind of a novelty. And it's kind of a novelty to do something totally raw nowadays when something like TikTok was supposed to be just looking at your camera, singing along, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like a whole studio production just to get a TikTok up.
Right.
Lighting and recording and lip syncing and all this stuff. Like, I'm like, Bobby, you are hustling, my guy. And the TikToks sound great and they look
proud
great.
Of him.
But I'm like, I would never spend more than 5 minutes on a TikTok. I could never do it. You know, those, I think I did one or two like that, like collaboration ones. Like there was a Halo chain going along. And so I jumped on that and had to mix it in with the first version. And it's like, that took like 2 hours.
Especially because TikTok's all about like, they want you to pump out content on TikTok. And it's like, if that video is taking that long, like then you're burnt out and you can't.
It has to be your life.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you do post a video, it takes a long time and it doesn't do well. I'm like, that would just hurt. But I mean, obviously that's going to happen. Videos sometimes don't do well for no apparent reason.
Yep.
And the funny thing is then you could post it at another time and it could pop off. So it's like TikTok timing is part of it too. But nobody really has figured out exactly what there's no like golden set rule or anything to TikTok.
You just don't know when something's going to catch fire.
For sure.
You just don't know. So we're coming up pretty close on time. I'm going to hit you with one more question.
Yeah.
Actually unrelated to music. And then I'm going to ask you a few questions from my patrons.
Perfect.
So first, Nashville. So you've been living in Nashville for a while. Mm-hmm. Do you love it? Are you there forever? Do you and your husband want to move somewhere else at some point? Tell me about it. I did live in Nashville for a summer and did
you?
A country music thing. One of my best friends, George Washburn, is there. He's a phenomenal guitarist. Nashville does have a place in my heart. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'm just coming up on my 6-year anniversary here in Nashville. Moving here, I really didn't expect. I didn't know what I expected when I moved here. My husband went to Belmont for a couple years. He transferred to school there. And so he finished and graduated there. And then it was kind of just up in the air. Like, was he going to get a job here? Where were we going to stay here? Where were we going to move somewhere else? My family's in Texas. So that was always a possibility. Like,
oh my God,
was always a possibility.
half my dad's side is all from Texas and my mom's side is all from Tennessee.
Really? Aww.
No joke.
I love that. I'm actually from Florida and my parents moved to Texas in college and I went to college in Boston. So it's like, I feel like I'm from all over the place. Like part of my heart is in Texas, part of it's here, part of it's in Boston. part of it's in Florida. But as far as long term here, I honestly can see us being here long term.
Mm,
I love that music. There's so much music in Nashville. And
yeah.
surprisingly, I feel like a lot of people from California and New York and people that thought that they had to live, in those places to do entertainment are actually moving to Nashville. Like a lot of people are moving to Nashville. And there's a lot of connections here. A lot of the big agencies are here and recording labels. They all have offices here. And there's just so much music. I love it.
Hmm.
Um, Also, it's beautiful, and I feel like it's a good place to raise our kids for now. I mean, there's a lot of
I loved it. I
craziness
think
going
I had a great,
on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's a great city. Everyone I know who lives there really enjoys it. Tim Faust is there as well. Do you know
I
Tim Faust from Home Free?
Yes, I didn't know he was here.
He
That
is
is
in
really
Nashville.
cool.
Yeah, I actually just so this podcast you'll be on in the interview series on YouTube. I started during the pandemic, mothballed it for like 2 years because
Mhm.
it was just another thing that I didn't have time for when I was editing all my own stuff, which I'm no longer
Yeah,
editing.
good.
And so now I'm like relaunching it, and Tim was actually the first guest. So I chatted with
Oh,
Tim like a
cool.
couple weeks ago, and yeah, he's been in Nashville for like 9 years, and we'll be
Wow, I
there
have to
for a while.
connect with
So
him.
you should definitely
Yeah,
connect with him. Yeah,
that's great to know. Um, Me, I have like this like adventurous spirit where I like don't like the idea of just living somewhere forever, like
yeah,
just being like, oh, I'm going to be here forever. Like I would gladly move international. Like if that's like a possibility with my husband's job in the future, I would love to live internationally.
I'm
Um,
right there with you.
but like I honestly, if he was like, let's move to like if his job permitted, if let's move to a different place for a year or a few months, I'd be like, okay, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Like I'm
let's go.
not really necessarily sold on one place forever, but he did just get I wouldn't say I mean it is a new position. He did get a new position and it kind of guarantees that we're going to be here for at least a few more years, but honestly we'll probably end up making this home base, and if we do decide to like travel or live places for a few months at a time, I think we'll always like come back here
Nice.
or Texas. I want to be near my parents, but we're trying to get them
Okay.
here.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Cool. All right, let's move on to a few patron questions and comments. So this
Yay,
is from
patrons.
Fiona Jane Brown, who's a huge, huge fan of you and me and the Bass Gang. And
I
she's,
was gonna say, I feel like I know her.
yeah,
I
she
think I
comments
talked to
on
her online.
everything. She comments on everything. She's like, she's in it.
Fiona, I
And
love
she's like,
you.
yeah,
You are in
she's gonna fangirl so hard.
it.
She says, Lauren, you and your mom love singing. Did she sing to you when you were Piper's age?
I was just, my mom wouldn't call herself a singer, but she has a lovely voice. Very
Okay.
lovely. We've always sung together. My just life has just been full of music, whether it was her blasting different soundtracks and us dancing to it or us singing together. I was always surrounded by music. So I owe a lot of that, honestly, all of it to my family.
Oh, that's great. That's really where it starts, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you
My
can.
mom's constantly like, you need to play music for Piper. You need to play her guitar and ukulele and surround her with music. And I've done that since she was born. And that girl like is music obsessed. So it
That's
really does like it does do
yeah.
something to us.
Musical talent is often based on exposure
Hmm.
as a young child and all the way
That
through.
makes so much sense.
All right, question 2. This is also from Fiona Jane Brown. She had a couple questions. She says, "What favorite song have you yet to record, and who would your collaborators be? Any big
Um,
songs you're like, I wanted to record this one, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet."
feel like there's a lot actually. I feel
I'm
like
not
there's a lot of
surprised.
stuff I have to do. I feel like the main one that everyone's probably like, how have you not done a cover to that yet? Is My Heart Will Go On.
Oh
Like
wow,
I've
yeah, I
done
could
like
see that.
all of the like other type like Hymn to the Sea and Rose, all of the other soundtracks that have no music or no lyrics to them, but I haven't done it. My Heart Will Go On full cover. So definitely that. I am talking to a couple people about doing a collaboration. Peter Holland and Cole Rolland. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
I know Peter for sure. Yeah.
Peter, and Cole is an amazing guitarist. Like, he plays like incredible electric guitar. So I think we could do something really, really cool too. But
where's
definitely
Peter?
My Heart Was On.
Where's Peter based?
I think Peter's in Oregon.
Okay.
If I'm not
he seems like an Oregon guy.
Yeah, he does.
I don't even know what that means.
Do something online. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. This is from LKH. If you could have any other singer's voice, who would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. It's funny because sometimes I'll like think about this question and I'll be like, if I could take this person's belt and this person's head voice and mash it up into one thing.
Let's change. I'm going to change the question a bit for functionality. What if you could have someone else's voice for like a week just to play around with it?
Oh my gosh. So hard. There's so many voices I would love to play around with. I think if I could have like, just Celine Dion keeps coming to mind.
Okay.
She is just like quintessential powerhouse icon. So I feel like she just like comes to mind. The woman is just.
Yeah, no, I know.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah. Whose voice do you want to feel? Because it's either like something like that, kind of like the ultimate version of maybe someone similar to your voice type, right?
Yeah.
Or
and it's funny because
totally
I'm gonna like overthink this question later and I'm gonna be like, what should I have said? And then it's just gonna bother me. But I'm gonna go with Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, great.
Amazing.
Cool. Okay. And this is from Isaac. And this is more of just a comment. Loved your duet with the Jada music on River Lullaby, and would love to see you do a Prince of Egypt cover with one of the a cappella groups like VoicePlay or the Bass Gang.
Bass Gang, let's do it.
All right.
What are you waiting for?
Prince of Egypt. Marwan is the Prince of Egypt. So this is up to Marwan. Literally an Egyptian.
I would love to do that. Okay. I would love to. Jada is a great friend of mine, and she introduced me to all things Prince of Egypt. She is like queen of that soundtrack. So
awesome.
I would love to do River Lullaby.
Cool. Fantastic. All right, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on the show. To everyone who is watching or listening, I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something about this wonderful human being I've had the pleasure of chatting with. Lauren, thanks for coming on. And any final words to the audience? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. And final words is I hope you guys like what I'm pumping out. Like, I hope that you continue to enjoy my content, and thank you for if your lovely patrons and followers also follow me, thank you for the support, and let's all collaborate again. I feel like everyone loves to see collaborations. They love crossovers. Crossover episodes are the best of the best. Like, nothing's better than seeing two people that you follow or groups follow just join together. So true. All about it. All right, Lauren. Thank you for having me. Great chatting with you, and I will see you again soon. You too. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.